In the making of this documentary on Iraqi Christians, I traveled to Jordan and to many towns and villages in Iraq. I knew their condition was critical before I started, but I had no idea just how desperate their situation really is. I'm Rob Marcarelli, and I'm the producer of this video.
The same thing happened with Jesus. Now it will happen for us. You must help us. Now I have a document in UNHCR, in United Nations, but they didn't help me. Why? I want to move to another country. I want to build my daughter's future. Now I am without house, I'm without money, I am without anything. Now, especially my daughter.
The ancient Christian community in Iraq is facing extinction. They are founded in the 1st century, but because of endless oppression, its numbers have now dwindled by nearly 1 million since 2003. They are looked upon as infidels and collaborators with the United States, so many of them have experienced religious persecution, kidnapping, torture, and numerous atrocities. Iraqis are the largest population of refugees in 60 years. Christians are a very small minority in Iraq, yet almost 1/3 of these refugees are Christians.
Our fathers, the Assyro-Chaldean people, and the Arabs, and the Kurds, and the Persians who became Christian, they accepted Christianity in the end of the 1st century, beginning of the 2nd century to the 3rd century. We had a lot of churches in Persian Empire, in Iraq, basically, and Christianity became stronger until the 7th century when Islam came to the region.
The violence that comes with war often brings unintended consequences. Families are forced to leave their homes. Entire communities are traumatized by the bloodshed. Unlike Muslim Iraqis, Christians have no armed militias to protect or defend them, and so they're easy prey for Islamic extremists. Almost 2.5 million Iraqis are considered internally displaced people. They've had to flee their homes because of the war and the religious persecution. A significant percentage of these Iraqi Christians have fled to the Nineveh Plain, their ancestral homeland. This mother of 11 has been made a widow by terrorists. Her daughter tells the story.
لارا عبد الكريم هرمس، مسيحية، مواليد 86. بابي مثل قطيلة، شهيد، وزيلة مبلى جامعة ضباط، مطلقة محكم قتليلة، قاود موصل، قوم بلا جامعة، وأخني يتوم ميوخ، وصرف نواثي وخ، وحالتين يعني الحمد لله إلى أوقع، خنواثي كلها عمالة، وخنواثي الباقي بزوري لي كله.
يعني سبب ضغطها يعني بيتنا بالضباط؟
ايه نعم، مو بالضباط، تهديد يعني ليدي اليوم هدو اني تعزله تهديد. ايه نعم، وبطلع قامح كم قتليله جماعة كم هدو ليدي اللي بقاوي وزلة بطلع قامح فابش لقطيله بابي يعني باب دسريالي والحمد لله يعني. ايه نعم، حالة هذا خيله.
We spoke with several lawmakers in Washington who are trying to help, but there is very little political will or public support for their actions.
Well, the number one priority has to be to deal with the people who have never left, the Christians who have never left. Some in Baghdad now, some down in Basra, but a lot up in the Mosul area. How do you help them to keep them from going through what they're going through? Secondly, the Christians who have left, who have gone to both Syria and Jordan and some other countries, who eventually will be returning to Iraq. How do you help them? How do you help them when they're out of the country, living in very difficult conditions, and how do you help them when they come back? I mean, that's the nub of the problem, and to get some understanding from our government, the government of the United States, both the State Department and the embassy over there, but also how to get the attention of believers, of Christians here in the United States and other Western countries to advocate for. And to date, we have seen the embassy not doing very, very much. We have seen the Iraqi government doing almost nothing. And we haven't really seen the church in the West doing very much either.
The UN estimates that over 2 million Iraqi refugees have fled their country. More than half of the Christian community has been forced to leave their homeland. Most of them wait years in these Muslim countries where they can't work, and as Christians, they are often unwelcome.
I would still consider that Jordan and Syria have been extremely welcoming towards these refugees. Things might change now, in particular as the means that the refugees had to survive, which is very much savings they had brought with them, or remittances they get back from Iraq. All these are drying up, and therefore their living conditions are becoming more difficult, and that could generate of course, slips into activities that are less benign, and that's a risk that we are concerned with. There have been, of course, abuses, which we are very sorry to look at. One is the issue of women being used in the sex trade, and there is a terrible word that is used in Syria, which is a survival sex, which I find is quite pathetic.
We were overwhelmed with the people who wanted to tell us their stories, in spite of the fact that it might jeopardize the safety of their loved ones still in Iraq.
أعطيت $30,000 خلصت من الخطب لأنه خلوا مسدس على حلقه لو تأسلم لو نقتلك. هاي واحدة. اضطريت أطلع من العراق وأسافر للخارج.
Whether you pay 30,000 or we will shoot your son. So she was forced to pay 30,000 to save her son, and then they run away.
خطفوا أخوي.
They kidnapped his brother.
And paid more than $250,000. After that, they kill him.
After they get the money, they kill him also.
2006.
206?
Yes.
Your brother?
My brother.
They get the money and they kill him.
I have one question. لما كنا بالعراق تعرضنا هواي الاضطهادات ومن ضمنها اختطاف هاي بنتي.
خطفوها؟
وبعد ما دفعنا فلوس اعطونا اياها، خلصنا قالوا لنا اذا تردون سلامتكم ترجعون طلعوا من العراق. فصرنا قدامهم الواقع طلعنا من العراق. فهنا الحمد لله والشكر قبلونا اليوم. ورا ما قبلونا اليوم الرفض مالتنا شنو هو؟ ليش دفعنا فلوس؟ هذا قانون جديد بالكونغرس الامريكي ما اعرف.
ليش دفعت فلوس؟
ليش دفعت فلوس؟ يجوز هذه الفلوس ذهبت الى منظمات ارهابيه. زين هل من الممكن او بنتي تنقتل؟ يجوز ذاك الرجال راح يبني فيها كنيسه.
It's very important.
يعني هل من الممكن واحد يعني مكتوب بخط اليد كمان ممكن
هي حطت له نقطه مهمه
يعني كاتبيها بخط اليد يعني مو كل شيء من ضمن اللائحه يعني.
They write it down under the information that they have.
انتم طيتوا فلوس يجوز هذه راحت لمنظمات ارهابيه.
Because the money that you give, the money you give to the terrorists, you are helping the terrorists.
زين هذا انت لو انت ابنك مضطهد وراح يقتلوه بتدفع فلوس تطلع له.
If your son, would you pay the money or you will wait until you make a hero?
Now, what the Christian minority have been subjected to, and subjected to in the past, as I said, history is repeating itself, that they're very, very easy to pick on. And so in community after community, home after home, business after business, there is a note left, a telephone call made, all threats. If you do not leave, if you are not gone by a week from today or by tomorrow morning, your family or your children will be killed, your home will be burned down, etc., etc. And so what people have done is to try and bring some reason to this, to save their children's lives, or to stand up for the priest who is the pastor of their church by saying, look, if we give you some money, just go away, please, because this is our home, this is our community, and not wanting to be uprooted. Now, you want to take that kind of a scenario and say, well, then they're terrorists for doing this. That's a form of madness in and of itself.
We asked for an interview with a representative from the State Department and Homeland Security, but they refused to speak to us on camera.
If you ask me what is going on in Iraq and what the Chaldean community or the Christian community in Iraq has endured, there's a lot of gruesome stories needs to be told. One of them, for instance, is a widow that her husband was killed, and here her son was kidnapped and she was asked for a ransom. They demanded the ransom, she couldn't come up with the ransom. It's a habit in Iraq. When you provide a meal, you put you serve it in a big dish of rice, and on the top of the rice, the pieces of meat. What the fanatics and the fundamentalists do is they took the child, they chopped his head, they put him on the top of the rice, and here we go. They bring it to the mother, and here's your dish now. Have children, young teenagers, youngsters, they were asked to convert to Islam, and they refused because that's not what the Christian teaching is. And here we see them crucified in the open. Some of them were tossed in wells and have them burned. There's so many cases, so many situations that went untold.
Through the centuries, there have been more than 30 genocides by Muslims against the Christians. This is a highly traumatized population where more than 50 of their churches have been firebombed since 2003.
The faster we can get these people into the lap of Chaldeans in the United States, the better. I can assure you they'll be taken well care of by those people. I've known these people for years and years and years, and some of them are my best friends. They want to help. And they want to not just help by bringing them to America, they want to help over here, over in Iraq. They want to work with, in fact, set up shop, so to speak, as how to improve the situation there so they can eradicate the problem they have now, get them out of both Jordan and Syria and in line to come into the U.S. Now, I know there's an immigration line, but there's a line that we can speed up and certainly make sure that everybody's collaborating, working together. And I think we can put some pressure on those that are dragging their feet.
We came to America. My grandma, she did some papers, and we came to America legally. And me, my mom, me, my brother, and my dad. I have another brother. He's left behind in Jordan. He tried going back to Iraq. They kidnapped him. So, and they hit him a lot.
Okay.
We gave money so he could get out. And so he escaped to Jordan, and we're trying everything to bring him back here. We have his information, everything, but we still want him here. My mom, she's sick. She wants him here. She has the cancer, and she wants him here by us. And I want my brother to be with me. I haven't seen him in 6 years.
So Christian face today double persecution it was for their faith, because they are Christian, and this is written by terrorists, and also for their ethnic specificity, which is not Kurdish, which is not Arabic. This is not a shame, and this is not a critic for our brothers, Kurdish and Arabic. This is a reality, this is a truth. I can't be what I am not, but I am brother with all those, and I must work with all those. And this is the aim of Christian, is just to have this right of citizenship, to stay in peace in the country, to work in cooperation with everybody.
She had 4 assassination attempts on her life. During the last attack, 4 of her bodyguards were killed.
We have an ancient community that is in real risk. We have been a contributor to that risk, and we have a responsibility to help protect that community, and the Christians in Iraq deserve that protection. And I and many others here in the Congress, and this is not a partisan issue, are determined that we are going to do everything we can to give the kind of protection which morality and justice and history requires for that ancient Christian community in Iraq.
The Iraqi Christian refugee crisis has been called the largest humanitarian emergency in the world today. The failure of both the Iraqi and the United States governments to protect them has put this ancient community at great risk. Without assistance and public pressure, they are in danger of becoming extinct.